Welcome back to the next episode of Draft League History, a series where we look back on a Pokemon's history and viability in the Draft League format throughout the generations. Today, we'll be looking at Tornadus, specifically its Therian form. This blazing fast, hurricane-spamming bird has always had a dominating presence in the Smogon scene, but will its impressive track record hold up in the draft scene as well? Tornadus Therian, as expected, was a premier top-tier threat in Draft's debut generation. It boasted an incredible speed tier of 121, allowing it to outpace a good majority of the metagame. This speed allowed it to often spec into its bulk pretty heavy EV-wise, making that 79, 80, 90 spread become much more fat than it looks on paper. When you couple this bulk and speed with arguably the best ability in the format in Regenerator, you have a near unbeatable Pokemon if played correctly. For those of you who aren't aware, Regenerator is an ability that heals the user by 1/3 of their max HP upon switch out. This, in conjunction with U-turn, allows Torn to function as a phenomenal pivot. Speaking of its move pool, Torn has a phenomenal one. Its mediocre attacking stats of 100 attack and 110 special attack were made up for by having super high base power attacking moves like Hurricane, Focus Blast, and to an extent Heat Wave. On top of it, it has great utility options such as U-turn, Knock Off, and Taunt, as well as some niche coverage options in Grass Knot, Sludge Wave, Icy Wind, Superpower, Dark Pulse, and Psychic. Another reason Torn was so good was because it was so splashable in so many different kinds of builds and playstyles. One type of team you would see Tornadus Therian a lot was Sand, as it had great synergy with Excadrill as they offensively beat a ton of each other's checks, and Drill offered a much appreciated spin for Torn, as rocks were one of the ways to mitigate Regenerator, at least to an extent. However, I'd like to reiterate that Torn didn't only fit on certain team styles like Sand. It could realistically fit any build, and that's what made it such a dominant threat in the Gen 6 draft format. As great as it was, it definitely had its checks and counters. Anything that resisted flying and was sturdy enough could get in Tornadus' way, even if it had good coverage to hit them, being that it lacked a lot of immediate power itself. Two checks that come to mind would be Rotom Wash and Heat, being that Torn didn't have any super effective coverage of note to hit either, though it could always cripple them with a knockoff or Toxic, or just U-turn out. However, the best check in my opinion would have to be Zapdos for similar reasons to the aforementioned Rotom forms, but also because it has its static ability, potentially punishing Tornadus for going for U-turn or knockoff by means of paralysis, essentially neutralizing it completely. In Gen 7, Torn continued its reign as a top tier threat in the draft format, doing its same Hurricane and U-turn spamming shenanigans. However, Game Freak decided to make the big bird even more powerful and granted it two huge new toys in Z-moves and Defog. Z-moves were a huge buff for Tornadus. As we mentioned before, it relied on the high base power of its moves to dish out damage due to its mediocre special and physical attacking stats. Now with Z-moves, it could jack those high base power moves up to an even higher level, throwing out all-out pummeling Focus Blast or Superpowers, Inferno, Overdrive, boosted Heat Waves, and of course, the spammable Supersonic Sky Strike, coming off of the already crazy powerful Hurricane. Not only were these moves incredibly strong, they also didn't have to risk missing, which was a big downside and risk to using Tornadus prior. Defog was also an amazing addition to Torn's move pool in Ultra Sun and Moon. Its high speed tier and great bulk allowed it to function as an incredibly reliable defogger, getting rid of either the spikes that plagued its teammates or the rocks that buffered its Regenerator to be used to the fullest capacity. Once again, Game Freak said no, Tornadus isn't good enough and we need to make it even better, and gave it two new toys once again, cementing it as one of the best Pokemon in the format without any shadow of a doubt. Those toys being the addition of Heavy Duty Boots as an item and adding Nasty Plot to its move pool. Heavy Duty Boots were already an insane addition to the flying types of the world, allowing them to bypass Stealth Rocks entirely. This was an especially lethal option for Tornadus because it allowed it to get the most out of its regenerative ability and pivot in and out as it pleased, making it near unkillable in the right player's hands without the burden of having to either Rapid Spin or Defog. Speaking of lethal options, Nasty Plot could be game-ending in certain matchups, replacing the power lost in Z-moves, allowing Torn to throw off essentially uncontested +2 Hurricanes, Heat Waves, and Focus Blast, cleaving through weakened, slower opponents, giving Torn the ability to function as a phenomenal sweeper. A lot like in the standard Smogon meta, Tornadus Therian has been an absolute monster when trying to be dealt with. Its crazy speed tier, phenomenal move pool, and access to one of, if not the best ability in the game in Regenerator, made it one of the best Pokemon in the format since its inception, and it's only gotten better and better since. thank you guys so much for watching this next episode of Draft League History. I know it's been a while since the last episode, months, in fact. I've been absolutely slammed with life. I recently got a new job. School's been absolutely crazy. And I've been playing in a lot of leagues, so that's kind of taken priority. But summertime's coming up. I want to start doing these again. I really enjoy making these videos. Kurt always kills it with the editing, so big shout outs to him as well. And yeah, let me know if there's any Pokemon in the comments that you specifically want to see me cover next. I have some ideas and some things I want to do, but I'm definitely not set in stone on any of them. So if you want to see your favorite Pokemon, now's the time to, suggest in the comments. Let me know what you think of Tornadus in the Draft League scene. If you've used it, what's your experience using it and or playing it? I'd love to hear your comments and thoughts. And yeah, with that being said, I will see you guys in the next one. Later.